ladies and gentlemen. I hope this podcast finds you well, and I hope it finds you in better weather than we're having today. Outside it's cloudy, and you know what I think about on days like this? Video games. So would you kindly put down whatever you may be doing right now, and welcome to Boss Mode. So the first thing we're going to be talking about is Xbox Project Scorpio. This is an PS4 Neo, I think they call it. PS4K, PS4 Neo.
Yeah, it's one of the new ones.
It's whatever you might want to call it. This is the next step in gaming, kind of. It's more of a half step. And before we really get into it, let me just throw some hard stats at you. Yahoo, we'll be talking about Xbox Project Scorpio, which is not to be confused with the Xbox One S, which is just mini Xbox One. But see, according to Yahoo, here are the specs for the Xbox Project Scorpio. It's going to have an 8-core CPU. This, I'm not sure what this means. I cross-referenced it with multiple sites. It works, or they were all consistent throughout. 6 teraflops of GPU processing power. Now that I don't think that means raw memory, because that's a supercomputer right there.
That's quantum
computing. It means just your basic processing power. Now this is going to be available holiday 2017. The big thing they want to catch, I think, with both of these consoles is VR compatibility, as well as 4K at 60 frames per second, or even 1080p at 60 frames per second, because we know the next-gen consoles a lot of times don't catch that 1080p with 60 frames per second.
They say they do, but then everything just...
Or even worse, they say they do, or they say, yeah, see, the consoles can run at 60 frames per second,
but we don't have to let them.
It's more cinematic to keep it at 30.
Exactly. Okay. And actually, but one thing I am impressed with the Xbox, it's going to have 12 gigabytes of RAM. That's actually an improvement with the PS4 Neo, which is still at 8 gigabytes, running at a higher megahertz. But let's talk about pricing, another thing. Digital Spy says the PS4 Neo, the PS4K is going to be at $399. Do you think it should be full price like that?
Yeah. Well,
it's an upgrade, sure, but like I would hope that the regular ones go down.
I would hope it came with the game.
Like if they're selling like PS4s, the regular PS4s, and then they got this out for the same price, that's gonna. I'm pretty sure they will do that. I mean, I can't fathom that they wouldn't do this. As long as the other ones get a drop, then yeah. And as long as, because you know what they're doing, they're really trying to, get as close to PC as possible. And I mean, like, people have, and like, it's gonna be like, somebody's gonna have to decide: am I gonna get this PS4 or Xbox whatever? Are the exclusive worth me just buying a budget PC? Because you could buy a budget PC for that same price that can like run, that could smoothly run your games. I know, I did it. And
one of the best things is, if you're going to pay full price for something like that, you might as well just buy a computer, because with all the games that come out for Xbox only or PlayStation only, quote unquote, you're going to be able to get it on PC.
Yeah, and
I mean, a lot of games that are just
more so with Xbox. Like, if you're gonna shell out that much for the Xbox, then you really will have to consider PC, because, like they said, they are going to be doing that. But this actually works out in PS4's favor, because they actually have like exclusive games like Horizon Zero Dawn. That ain't going to be on PC no time soon. Even like Pirates and emulation.
What was that one game? It was like I think it came out in like 2002 for Xbox. It was Xbox exclusive, but it like sucked. It was just so bad.
I'm not sure. There have been a lot of...
That's very general. You know why? Because Xbox make these crazy, insane consoles cost so much, but when you get it and everything, and there's Xbox exclusive, it's like, hey, you know what? These games actually suck.
And actually, speaking of pricing, I'm not sure, did I say this already? There has been no confirmation on the Xbox One price. We only have the confirmation on the PlayStation price. So maybe we may see some competitive pricing here. Yeah. I would love to see that. But let's get to some more technical specs. According to ArsTechnica.com, that's ARS, Technica. It's going to have 8 JAD cores at 2.1 gigahertz. The AMD GCN 36 CUs at 911 megahertz.
AMD?
I know. They both actually operate on AMD.
Not NVIDIA?
I think AMD survives on consoles.
Folks, he's dying. We gotta help him.
It's still having 8 gigabytes of RAM, but also at faster megahertz. So both of these consoles actually seem to be more of a processing speed upgrade than exactly a raw processing power upgrade, except for maybe the Xbox One, because at 12 gigabytes, it's more power.
Here's the thing, though. You have to also remember that even though your Xbox, your console's gonna be able to run faster, you have to make sure That's something you have to make. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Just take it. Don't worry about it when you're talking.
I'm gonna bend it down a little bit, folks,
Okay.
just a tad.
But yeah, go on.
Anyway, but yeah, so even though the console is going to be able to run a lot more, it's going to be a lot stronger. There could be some side effects to being able to run faster. Because if it runs faster, it can also overheat quicker.
That is true.
If it overheats quicker, I mean, it might even be bigger than the Xbox Bone, which I call it because it's just poo.
The X-Bone.
X-Bone.
Well,
yeah.
I think the Xbox. I really like Microsoft's improvement because Microsoft is actually a very large improvement. Like Microsoft, or more so, it's more formidable than the PS4 Neo based on the specs that we have right now.
But again, like I said, as long as the pricing is not something that you might as well build like a budget PC, because with PCs you have you can interchange, the parts are interchangeable and you can always upgrade. But with this, you're buying this
You're stuck
in this moment, and technology gets better and better over time, and that's why, and that's the only thing that I'm thinking about. Like, they have to make it more, make it so that people will be more towards like, oh, this is worth buying versus a budget PC, because you can't even argue, oh, plug and play, and maybe some people prefer controller because you can just hook up a controller to your PC too. I mean,
Exactly.
like most games now are actually having controller support. Then you got that awful Steam controller, but and that's the only thing that I'm worried about when it comes to Microsoft is you have to make it competitive. But then again, like they're competing with themselves, so it's like maybe they'll just like, no, we're just gonna have it at this price, and that's just that.
And actually, while we're talking about while we're talking about what's important to gamers as consumers, do you guys think this is going to become a habit in the gaming industry, that instead of like taking full steps from generation to generation, we're going to have these half steps, half measures? And what do you think the impact of that would be?
My thing is, I hope that they don't break it a habit of doing it so soon, because like how long have we been in this generation right now?
Has it been 3 or 4 years?
3 or 4 years in.
Yeah.
Like, when did they start making, I don't remember, when did they start making like the mini PS3s? Because it's like, you gotta give people some time, because it you don't want your consumers to feel like, oh, I just paid all this money for this, and then you're already upgraded. Like, it's like my motto when it comes to like phones. I never get the next generation, because I'm like, I don't need all those small extra things. Like, I still have a Galaxy S3, and they're like on 6 now. And I'm saying, like, is it worth those little steps with the price being so close? And like I said, as long as they bring down the price of the older models, then I think, that'll make people feel a little bit better.
And honestly, I think we're getting into some kind of a diminishing return situation with as technology advances, because as technology advances, you don't always get developers making better graphics, because that takes a lot of time and a lot of work.
For what? Better graphics?
Yeah, for better graphics, and it costs a lot of money. So we don't see these big jumps like from the N64, to the next, or the PlayStation 2 to the PlayStation 3. That was a relatively big jump, from the PlayStation 1 to PlayStation 2.
The graphics sold,
but like we're getting these margins that are narrowing down, and prices are going up as far as making games, as far as buying games. So that's why I think that this is going to become a habit. The half steps are what it's going to be.
Because we're reaching that limit to where we won't really be wowed by the next graphics.
And the generation, I think generations are going to last longer, honestly.
Because like, can you remember that feeling when PS3 first came out, and then it was like, oh my god, look at this graphics, this is amazing.
Yes.
Like, oh my god,
wow, individual fingers.
Yeah,
We're not just cubed hands, folks.
Yeah.
We're talking individual little digits.
Yeah, and I mean, like, and it's like, I think that they are mildly aware of this, and they have to try ways to try to make these things, make their consoles or whatever stand out. And like I said, I'm going to keep drilling this point in. They're competing with people saying, do I need to get this, or will I be better off just getting the PC that I can upgrade over time?
Exactly.
And they have to give us more incentives than just power, because if you're going to say power, you can just build a great PC. You don't have to throw like thousands of dollars at a PC.
Yeah.
Budget PCs, 300, 200, I mean not 200, but like 300, 400. I mean, there you go. And they just have to make it, they have to give us a really good reason to do it. Like, these games got to run smooth, and they, You can't be breaking the systems, and that customer service got to get better. Like, I mean,
For what? Wait.
Absolutely, customer services.
Wait, for what though? For Microsoft? Or for
in
PlayStation?
general.
Yeah.
I like Xbox.
We can go back and forth on who's the worst, but just in general, I mean, like, come on.
And you know what?
Here, we'll go with the worst overall. Oh, ready? Ready for this? COMCAST.
God help us if they got in the gaming industry. It would be awful.
Goodness, I can only imagine. But you know what? Let's move on. We're getting to something that I know DJ is chomping at the bit to get to. He's excited for this. I'm about to get the mic over. Let's talk about No Man's Sky. Procedural generation, mathematics for an infinite universe. Now, from what I understand, from what I heard, I was watching IGN's live stream, and DJ, you could probably fill us in more on this, but how the game works is it's like a mathematical equation. This is what the host at IGN said. It's like a mathematical equation surrounding the player. As the player moves through the universe, it builds the universe around him and keeps it there. And like it's a constant equation. So when you come back to a certain area, it'll be the same stuff. So you get a consistency. But I'm gonna let DJ take it away on this. Go ahead.
I have to move everything once again because I'm just that tall and it's awkward for me. Okay, so some of the things. So No Man's Sky came out yesterday. It is so far it's trended on Twitter. It has been insane. Now, personally, it's a really fun game. Valentino, on the other hand, he doesn't really like it.
Oh.
But here's some
cautiously optimistic.
Here are 5 things they don't tell you before you actually get the game. There is no load screen. Now, when I say no load screen, of course there's the load screen when you play the game because it has to load the entire world. But between going from ground to space, there is no loading screen. None. Mm-hmm. There's no glitching. There's no slow motion. Or there's no like phase in, phase out. You're on the planet. You actually go into through the atmosphere and do all that.
Yeah.
I feel like the animals are also just like how the world's procedurally generated. The animals are too. I feel like they just took 3D models of animals and just put them in the game. It's like, you know what, computer. Go to town. Make whatever you want. Because I saw something that looked like it had the head of a dog, but it was like the body of like a rhino. It was so weird. And then everything...
You mean a dino?
Please, you're not allowed back in here. But then there's also real-time playing. Now, when I say real-time, I literally mean... So, say you're on a planet. Planet is here. For those who can see it through the camera, of course. The planet is this pin. This is the space station. To get from the planet to here, it would take you 3 hours going normal speed. A literal 3 hours. In our time.
Okay, wow.
In our time, it takes you 3 hours to get from here to here in normal speed.
Please tell me there's a way to speed that up.
There is. So there is thrusters, which shortens the time from, say it would take 3 hours to shorten it from 3 hours to an hour and 5 minutes.
Okay.
To an hour and 30 minutes. Now, there's also there's warp, which brings you to other parts of the galaxy, and then there's pulse thrust. Pulse thrust can send you from here to here from 3 hours to 3 minutes.
Quick question.
Quick answer.
Warp. Do you have to discover a place before you can warp there?
No.
Oh, okay. So
the entire game is free.
Rare moment, guys. I'm going to give it a plus for that.
I have a question.
Yeah.
How often can you use these pulse thrusters? How often is it going to be where you're going to have to just make a heading and walk away from the game?
So, because of how large it is, just to give you guys an idea of how large this game is, it is 18 quadrillion planets. That's how large it is. It's so big, developers don't even know how big it is.
What is a quadrillion?
Really big.
I think that's cheating, though. I mean, it's procedurally generated, so it's always making it.
Okay, so when you play the game, you see little drones flying around on every single planet. Those are drones that the developers put in the game to help them find out what other planets there are.
Okay. And I have a question which I consider this one very important. What is the level of redundancy that you see in these? Like, how often do planets repeat themselves? And like, what are the variables here? Is it colors? Is it shapes? Is it a lot more than that? What is it?
Okay, so I'm gonna finish answering your first question first.
Okay.
So you can go as far as you want as long as you have the materials to keep replenishing your warp jump. You can just keep replenishing it and just go as far as you want.
Okay.
Now, when it comes to that, there isn't really a lot of it. There's no real redundancy. Each planet is individually different. Maybe like 1 or 2 planets are the same. Maybe 1 or 2 animals are the same, but other than that, there's not really that much.
For those of you who can't see, I'm giving him an intense side eye right
Yeah.
And I'm gonna give him the intense middle finger, which hopefully will be blurred, but I'm not gonna do it because we're on camera.
Okay, well, we were gonna say something about it. Do you have your doubts, Valentino? Because I know
My
you
doubts
do.
are that
I'm gonna have to shank you with a pen.
if you're familiar with survival horror games and how
Oh my God.
it's all like, hey, you better gather all this stuff that's going to interrupt your gameplay.
Now here's the thing though, they
I
do
just
gameplay into
I'm
that.
afraid that this game might be Space Miner the game. Gather stuff and go somewhere else.
It kind of is, but the thing is though, there's entire planets. There's like for one of the worlds I was on last night. There's an entire species living on that planet that you can go and explore. Like when I say species, I mean like these are like AI people. You can just go through like villages.
Can you commit genocide?
If you wanted to.
Oh, 10 out of 10.
Yeah, you can just, if you want, it's an MMORPG. So when you're playing online, you can go and talk with other people, but because it's so big though, it's hard to meet other people.
Yes,
just to meet to fly by.
that is my main thing.
It's so big, it's be hard to meet people.
I was always wondering about that, and so I know I make a lot of jokes, but I don't actually hate the game. I haven't played it yet. I watched the review. I've looked at the
He's
reviews.
jealous, that's what he is.
And I've seen the gameplay, and that was one of the one things that I was worried about. The multiplayer aspects, and everywhere I go, people, even though they like the game, every time people ask about multiplayer, it's always some kind of reaction image of somebody laughing. And if you
it's just that the game is so large, it's hard to play multiplayer when you're on multiplayer because you have to find other people.
Yeah, and because I think it was Jim's review of the game where Jim Quisition, if you're familiar with Jim Sterling, he said that I think it was Jim, he said that he finally met one person and they didn't even meet, but they were so happy to have made contact with each other. And I'm stuck in the middle of that because that's like a plus minus for me. Like a plus because that's kind of exciting. You don't see anybody. You're in this huge world and you're just mining and collecting or whatever else it is you do in the game. And then you finally get contact. It's kind of like if you ever watch those movies where people get stranded in space, like The Martian or Gravity,
then there's that one person
they're by themselves. That to me, you can get immersed in that. That's a plus in the game, and then you get that one contact, and then it feels so great. And then like you might not even meet that person, but you send messages. That's a plus for me. But at the same time, I was kind of sold on it, like as being a big world, except with other players. And I guess that may fall on me, but like they never really explain that well enough for me, whether it's like you're out in this world and you may contact people, or you're out in this field world with other individuals. And I think I was sold on one view, but I'm kind of disappointed because now it's like, okay, so am I just going around, mining stuff and then...
Okay, here's the main synopsis of the entire game. The game starts with you on a planet with your broken ship and broken tools. You have to go around and gather materials. With in hand, you have to go into caves to get materials. You go and you find alien races and stuff that you can talk to, and you can even buy other people's ships. Like,
you can buy other people's ships?
Yeah, so you can buy other people's ships, and you can also buy AI ships that from the traders that you trade from.
Okay.
You can basically buy their plane. It's really cool.
That is really cool. Alright, let's move on from a multiplayer game to a very lonely, very scary solitary game. We Happy
Solitaire?
Few. Solitaire, the ultimate hardcore game. Let's talk about We Happy Few. Now, this is still in beta, right guys? Or is it released
yes,
yet?
it's in beta.
Okay.
Sure.
Well, We Happy Few, I think I like the concept. It's got a really good premise, and honestly, I feel like it would make an interesting book. Basically, everybody's on Super Prozac, and they know when you're not on Super Prozac. So, like, you go through the game, and generally you have to, from what I've seen of it, you have to hide. We're going to have to talk about this really fast. Generally, you have to, it's kind of a stealth-based crafting survival game. How do you think it's going to show out? And it's got a lot of competition. It is one amongst many, and that's why I am kind of cautious approaching this title.
Stealth-based survival horror. You mean like all the other survival games where
So you're basically telling me Silent Hill, Resident Evil, Like Fallout in some cases.
Yeah.
Now I have seen screen caps of it, and I will say this:
I watched a few pieces.
I got a
playthrough.
nostalgia feeling for the weirdest reason, and it looked like a game that BioWare would have made.
Yeah,
Like
okay,
the visuals, and I like that aspect of it because most survival horror games look like Rust or H1Z1 or you know DayZ, where it's just like you and some military backpack running around being douchebags to each other.
Honestly, pretty much the only thing I can say about it right now is that it looks surreal. I like the surreal style of it. I'm just gonna really not say much about the gameplay until I see more. And so that's all we have time for today, ladies and gentlemen. Some of the topics you can look forward to next time include the Assassin's Creed movie coming up next. What do you guys think of movie adaptations of video games? Hit us up at our Twitter at BossModePod, is that correct?
That's correct.
All right, at BossModePod, tell us what you think. You guys have any opinions, anything you'd like to share today about today's podcast? Go ahead and message us that too. Thank you guys very much, and as always, game responsibly.